There's something that's been coming up on a lot of discovery calls recently, and it's something I think more providers are sitting with than they'd maybe like to admit. We get on a call with them, and at some point I ask, do you have a sense of how much you've got outstanding in unpaid invoices? And the honest answer, more often than not, is not really. Or they give a number, and then when we actually dig into the data, it looks quite different. Sometimes it's better than they thought, and sometimes it's worse. And occasionally there are even services that they have delivered but haven't actually been invoiced. Now that's not a personal failing, it's a systems problem, and it's more common than you think. So today I want to walk through why this happens, what the financial picture in your business actually needs to look like, and who the right people are to help you get there. So here's a situation I see regularly. A provider is using a practice management system or a CRM to track their participants, their services, all their notes and things. And then they might have Xero or another accounting software sitting alongside for that accounting. Both tools do a job, but they're not always connected, or maybe they're not being reconciled regularly, or the practice management system hasn't been set up properly. It's maybe not the best fit for the type of support, or some staff just aren't comfortable using it. So what happens? Payments come in and get processed in one system, but the invoice in the other system is still sitting there marked as outstanding. Over time, you've got a list of unpaid invoices, and you genuinely don't know how many of those have actually been paid and how many haven't. Add to that the possibility that some services have been delivered, documented in the practice management system, but never actually converted into an invoice in the first place. So the picture gets even blurrier. So this is the bit that keeps you up at night, right? Not just the cash flow itself, but the not knowing, not being able to trust the numbers that you're looking at. So sometimes I do hear, I'm just not a numbers person. And I totally get that. You probably didn't actually start your business because you love spreadsheets. I'm pretty sure you started it because you want to support participants and maybe build a team, but make a difference in your community. So you don't have to be a numbers person. You just need the right people around you who get the numbers and the NDIS and have good communication with those people. So the problem isn't disliking the numbers, it's assuming that someone else has got it covered when actually there's a gap and nobody's noticed, or accepting that financial confusion is just part of running a business when it really doesn't have to be. So let's talk about the different people who can support you with your finances, because I think there is sometimes confusion here and it's worth understanding as a business owner. So honestly, I learnt most of this the hard way on my own in the early years of running Positively Sorted. For a long time, I just had a tax accountant and figured the rest of it out myself, often slowly. And for me, it actually held back the growth of my business because I need to know it's all going to work before I go for it. But I've seen others in business go the other way and grow way too quickly before their systems, team, and cash flow are ready. So if this feels unfamiliar, you're not alone. Who's there to help though? You've got your tax accountant. They're the person who handles your end of year compliance, so your tax return, lodgements, making sure you're meeting your obligations, and where possible, reducing your taxable income. They're essential, but their role is largely looking backwards at what already happened, mostly. A business or advisory accountant is someone who helps you understand what your numbers actually mean for decisions you're making right now, and also in the future. Things like, can we afford to hire? Are our margins sustainable? What does growth look like financially? Not every accountant offers this, and it's worth asking yours whether they do. Sometimes in larger accounting firms, they might have different people in the same business that cover those different roles. And then there's the bookkeeper who helps keep your books up. Then there's the bookkeeper who keeps your books accurate and up to date on an ongoing basis. They reconcile your expenses, handle your BAS and GST reporting, and if you don't have your internal staff managing it, they'll often handle the payroll as well. So to do this work legally, they need to be BAS registered, so that's worth checking. Sometimes your accountant can have a bookkeeper on their team as well. And then there's the and then the fourth type of person is a finance VA or accounts support team. This is someone or a team who work inside your business on the day-to-day billing side. So generating invoices, matching payments received against those invoices outstanding, and then following up anything that hasn't been paid. This is where Positively Sorted sometimes fits in. So one thing worth mentioning here though is sometimes a bookkeeper or an accountant will offer to take on the invoicing side as well. And that can work really well for some businesses. But if they don't have a solid understanding of how the NDIS billing works specifically, including the difference between agency managed and plan managed, how plans work and all that sort of thing, that can create its own problems that I have seen. NDIS billing has enough nuance that it's worth making sure that whoever's doing it knows your system and the NDIS. And as I said earlier, not every business needs all of these separate people. When you're small, one person might cover a few roles. The question isn't whether you have a full finance team, it's whether all of these tasks whether the tasks are actually covered, and if not, where those gaps are. So when these pieces aren't in place, or when the systems aren't talking to each other, here's what can happen. You're making decisions based on numbers that aren't accurate. You might think cash flow is tighter than it is and hold back on decisions you could comfortably make. Or you might think you're doing fine and miss that there's a backlog of unpaid invoices quietly building up and cash flow is about to grind to a halt. You spend time and energy chasing invoices and think that money is coming because the data says they're outstanding when maybe they're not. And the invoices that genuinely need following up get lost in the noise and start to snowball. So over time, the stress of not knowing becomes its own problem, and it sits in the background of every business decision you make. So here's what I want you to take away from this. You don't need to become a finance expert. You just need a clear enough picture to run your business with confidence and the right people in the right places to help you get there. If any of what I've described today sounds familiar, it's probably worth a conversation, whether that's with your accountant, your bookkeeper, or with my team. We really love nutting out these situations with providers. We can help you see where the gaps are, tell you what we can help with directly, and point you towards your accountant for those things that sit in their corner that they're qualified for. So the link to get in touch with us is in the description below. And if this video was helpful, give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss anything that's coming up. And I'll see you soon.